All right, and now we're live, guys. Hey, this is Terry with NSPS TV Paranormal. How's everybody doing?
Doing
Fantastic.
great.
All right. Hey, tonight we are in the
Good.
great.
Good.
What was that? We're in the Great Northwest, Spokane, Washington.
Home sweet.
Yeah, been there once. Lovely city.
Thank you.
It's probably grown since the last time I've been there. I've been there '89.
Oh, it's grown quite a bit since '89. Yeah.
I can say probably four of y'all weren't even born when
Oh yeah.
I was there. You know what I'm saying? But so hey, let's go ahead and get this party started. Mark, tell the world about your team and what you are about.
Well, our team is Spokane Paranormal Society, and we have been up and running now since 2015. We do historical spots. We do businesses. Mostly, we do homes.
Mm-hmm.
Amy over here is our psychic, and she is amazing. Frank is our tech man, along with the other co-founder besides me, Raymond Lusk, who is, I always say he's the brains and I'm the mouth. He runs the tech. He knows his stuff. But we have a few $1,000s worth of equipment, and we go in, we try to find out what we've got between the equipment. Amy, I'm an empath. Connie, who hopefully will be here before we're done, is also an empath. We have fantastic investigators. Um, and we go in and we try to figure out what it is. If they can peacefully coexist, that is fantastic. That is goal number one. If they cannot, then we have to do things to clean up the house or clean up the person.
Okay, cool. Now, how many is on your team?
We have 9 people on our team,
Oh
plus
my.
2 people in a production crew that are currently working some of our Facebook documentaries. We have 2 out right now. It's a 2-part documentary called The Glass House, and it was a place here in Spokane that was extremely negative. We went in and, oh, Amy, what did we do? Cleared up about 6 entities and closed about 4 portals. It was a bad one.
Oh wow. Tell me
Yeah.
a little bit about that
Mm-hmm.
place.
The
Why?
history of the place,
Horrible.
it was built in the 20s, and the last owner that was in it lived there for about 50 years. No one ever died in the house, nothing like that. But the lady who lived there lives there still because it is still clean. Um, her son is very young, and he is a wide open, untrained medium, and a lot of things want to come to him. So we have to keep our eye on that, and we do. We never leave anybody after we're done. We're their team for life. If something comes back on them, we're right back there. In fact, we got one to go back to in 2 weeks
Oh
because
wow.
Follow ups are very important.
yes, absolutely. Thank you, Scott.
Cool. Mr. Scott, I'm gonna let you start this over, man. I'm gonna let you start this. I'm gonna sit back and watch, and let you, run the show for a minute.
Absolutely. So, hello, everyone. I'm also a psychic and a medium, and I'm well versed with tech. I've been running by myself since about age 14, but I've worked with other groups.
Mhm.
Currently with Texas Paranormal Recon and Paranormal Investigations in North Texas. I was just kind of wondering how you integrate the psychic in with the tech. How do you deal with psychic impressions and kind of use that to your advantage in addition to like your more traditional tech approach?
We take Amy, since Amy and Frank are a couple to begin with. What I do personally is I tell Frank an address. Amy knows nothing when she goes in.
Mhm.
The very first thing we do, I meet her at the door and say, "Where do you want to go?" She knows nothing about the place. I will tell her ahead of time only if it's a business or a house. Usually she's picking up stuff on the ride there or even days before we even get there. And I'll let her talk about that later. But then once we get there, we do our psychic walkthrough. Amy kind of lets us know where we should be pointing stuff. We usually get stuff wherever she tells us to point, whether it's with the SLS, a flashlight, conversation, EMF, uh, uh, full spectrum cameras, whatever. Um, then we get a feel for the place and decide with the owner of the home or business what do they want to do? It's their home. We're at their beck and call. So yeah.
Fantastic. Amy, you mentioned that, Amy, you have sometimes things will, let's say, introduce themselves to you before cases. I've had that happen as well, in which case something happens in my
Yeah.
apartment or you get some psychic impressions, and I know it's the level of difficulty of the case it'll be depending upon how much of a initial greeting I get, let's say. What's some of the more interesting ones that you've
Yeah,
had
exactly.
in cases that really let you know you're going to get some
Well,
push before you even hit the door?
yeah. I had probably a vision, I would say, while I was in the shower about a woman who was showing me a hallway and showed me her. It was like it was running down the hall, and I saw her turn the corner. And this was in a case in, was it Montana? Is that where the Jameson?
In Idaho.
Idaho.
Mm.
Yeah. And yeah, the Jameson. Yeah. And so when I got there, Mark was like, "Well, where do you want to go?" I said, "I need to find this hallway." And so he took me to this hallway, and it was the exact hallway that I saw in this vision. And this woman was showing me where she died. She was murdered in a bathroom
Oh,
in
wow.
the shower. And so I had to excuse myself for a couple minutes on that one, because that one kind of was like, oh gosh, yeah. So, and then I had, when we went to the Montana State Prison, I had two different people come to me. One was a few weeks before we went, and the second was just like a week before we left. And one of them was one of the gentlemen who started the riot at the prison. And one of them, another entity that came to me, was a gentleman who was like getting picked on by other inmates.
Is that the one in the shower?
Yeah.
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 I
So
remember.
those are pretty insane when it happens.
Oh, that is fantastic. Yeah, I've had
But I've
those too.
yeah, I've had things, because usually I feel like I can control it. But there's just times that it just kind of sneaks up on me and it happens, which
Has one been especially strange
obviously it
for
would.
you?
What was that?
Oh, has one been especially strange for you? Just the most unexpected psychic vision at the
Yeah.
worst possible time.
It was, he was getting his car fixed. He was getting his car fixed, and I was sitting in my car outside where the car was getting worked on, and I had this guy. He looked like he was just really mangy and was missing some teeth, and he just was really skinny, and he like came right up to my car, and I was just like, what the? And when Frank got in the car, he looked at me and he was just like, what did you just see? And I was, what I saw. And the place where he was getting his car worked on is across the street from where he works, where they fix their trucks. And so Frank went and was talking to one of the mechanics, and he described the guy I saw, that he committed suicide, and he
Wow.
was like all on drugs, and he like killed his girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was kind of, whoa.
And I got to tell you,
That
it
one
takes a bit
really took me
startle, Amy.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is impressive. So, as a tech guy, Frank,
Yeah.
do you ever?
That one was really crazy.
I was going to say, tech as a tech guy, Frank. Do you ever find moments that you're starting to get psychic impressions too, because your wife also gets psychic impressions?
Only with her. Sometimes she'll be thinking of something, and I pick up on it, and we'll say something about that like 5 or 10 minutes later, and she's like, oh my God, I was just thinking about that. It's usually only just with her.
I'd imagine so. There's usually a psychic link between couples that forms after a while. I was just curious if it's sometimes on a
Yeah,
case you decide to start setting up tech and she goes, aha, yeah, that's the place to go. You notice it too.
I got to tell you, Frank called me
not
just
yet.
and was telling me about how he, Amy, and I, and Connie, all of us had feelings about this one that we have to go back to. And we haven't been to that house in probably a year. And in the same week, just before the lady emailed me, all four of us had thoughts about this place and how something just wasn't quite right. So, and
Very
if Amy
Yeah,
says something,
I had made a wrong turn and ended up right at the house.
yeah,
Oh, that says something. That
Wow.
really says something.
Yeah, it's almost like something's pulling us towards it.
yeah,
That happens. That most definitely happens. And the fact that you're all syncing with at the same time certainly shows its urgency.
we've all been on the same team now for 4 years. Ray and I started it 7 years ago, but we've had the basic same team for probably 4 or 5 years now. Because Amy,
Wow.
you and about the same time.
You know, that's a rarity.
Yeah, I came in right after Connie.
Just
Yeah.
not even a month. Yeah.
No, that is really good because that's one thing that really helps a team get really stable and learn how to play off each other's strengths and weaknesses. Is just to be around each other enough that you know when to trust each other's impressions.
Well, and
Right.
Ray, an amazing co-leader also, he and I will get together during an investigation and kind of figure out, okay, what are we looking at here? And we'll pull the team in. We almost always agree of exactly what's going on. And usually we're right. And I will always text the client back the next morning, the morning after that, and a week after that. And probably 19 times out of 20, they'll say, no, we're good. We are absolutely ecstatic about how our home feels now.
That's
Okay.
wonderful.
Now, who is your skeptic out of the bunch? You have 9. You say, who's the one that debunks just about everything that you try to say that's paranormal?
Uh, boy,
I don't think any.
we're all pretty much on the same page. Maybe Tabby, maybe. Although Tabby's in it.
I don't know. Tate was kind of,
Tate's one of our production
he
people.
seemed kind of not,
Yeah.
yeah. But, you know, at the glass house with the flashlight, that was really getting to him, that he kind of knew
Yeah,
it's
we had a good
real.
5 to 7 minute
I think he was
flashlight.
kind of skeptical at first.
Yeah.
It's a
That
love
happens.
there. Yeah.
As I always like to say, not every ghost is a ghost. I'm a believer, psychic medium, and occultist, but I still do a lot of debunking. I was going to ask you, so what do you do with some of your cases that you go to and you realize it's not really a paranormal case and the person really has probably mental health issues? How do you flag that and help those people find the help that they need?
Normally, I honestly, to tell you the truth, I've had 3 of those in 7 years because I go out and do the preliminary investigation. It's usually Ray and I, or me and one other member. I don't go out by myself. That's just not good for me. But 3 people I've come across really did need to be looked into. And what I told them is basically, I don't believe it's your home. I believe there is something with your, how did I word it to this one lady? Because she really needed some mental help.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she wanted my phone number. She wanted my address. And I'm like, I don't do that. But eventually you just have to bite the bullet and say, you might want to check this out with someone in a mental health field, because we can't find anything here. And what you're saying doesn't usually jive with what I've noticed in my experience. That's a tough one, Scott, because
it is a tough one. We have a crisis counselor that works with our team. I'm a high school teacher, so I've got a friend at school that is professionally a crisis counselor, but she also helps us field some of those cases, or some of the ones that we've had that Oh, it'll be so much easier if it were just a mental health case or just a haunting. But when the person does have mental health issues, is having hallucinations, yet something does physically move in the house.
Yeah.
And it's a little column A, a little column B, and trying to help that client differentiate between the two.
Yeah. I also believe that some people with mental health issues are kind of a magnet for some negatives to want to come into because they're low hanging fruit.
Yes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes.
And they're usually, in my experience, they're usually the ones that will believe that they're super gifted with psychic ability, but it's not psychic ability. It's honestly just hallucinations.
I would agree with you. And you've done this longer than I have, but I would agree with you.
Here's a phrase I use whenever I have that. It's like people who are extremely gifted with psychic abilities sometimes also need to take care of their mental health because they tend to also be empaths. So they pick up other people's feelings and need a professional to help them weed through what they're picking up on. And if it's a Gestalt therapists are okay with paranormal things. And so they're not going to debunk them, but they will help them tease through what they're picking up and then tease through the stuff that we can't help them tease through, which is the mental health stuff. But I find that's a very nice phrase to use to kind of urge them to seek help without feeling that I don't believe them. Because I know if you make them feel like you don't believe them from the get-go, they shut down and then you've lost everything.
Yeah, and then you got a situation on your hand.
Right. And then they go shopping on Facebook or some other place to find another team to tell them what they want to hear.
And there's too many that'll do that.
Yeah, especially for Facebook clicks or something like that. It's sad. So on a happier note, I was kind of wondering.
One thing
Going back to the tech guy, did you ever leave your tech out and just happen to have a ghost walk through your house while it's out and open and just kind of surprise you?
I have not. We've done that at specific locations where we've left it, and we've caught just different and we have a whole recorder full of EVPs that's pretty interesting. Amy's name gets called a lot.
A lot.
Usually it'll be something sort of Amy. It'll be 3 times, and it'll be only you can hear it on the recorder, which is pretty amazing. The things I've seen with the SLS cameras, I mean, it's in itself. Just to pick up the stick figures and there's nobody there, but there's a stick figure there. And one time I think it was at the Glass. No, it wasn't at the Glass. It was at the Gordon house in the girls' basement, where wrapping its arm around Mark, and the other one was standing behind Amy, kicking her in the shin. And those caught on the SLS camera. It was there's nobody there, but yet there's a figure on this machine showing you there's something there.
Yeah, we have a presentation.
So that was pretty interesting.
Next night at the Sandpoint Library. So I was going through some of our North Idaho stuff to interest the North Idaho crowd. And at the Jameson Inn, we actually have our one camera, our one full spectrum camera, and our SLS on the same spot. And I'm discussing with the spirit of this old miner who murdered a prostitute by drowning her in a bathtub.
Wow.
And he and I are just going at it. And he's punching me, and I know he's punching me at the time, but the SLS is picking him up, the guy punching me. So I just telling him, we're on different planes. Punch me all you want. And I wave my arms where he is because I know where he is. I could feel him there. And no, it's amazing how that SLS can pick up. He repeatedly was punching me in the face.
Oh my. That's horrible.
I mean, to me, I could feel it like a wind.
After him. They always go after Mark.
They go after me. I've been punched, scratched. I've had my ears boxed in, sent to the ground. They just pick on the old guy. You know how it is.
Everyone's got someone on the team that gets the focus. My partner Ricky would make me. My partner Ricky would be. She would be really disappointed if I didn't point out most of the cases that we have. Whenever she's using the spirit box or something like that, she gets called a whore.
Oh,
almost consistently.
I am the papa bear to the group. I would not let anything happen to the girls in the group. I'm a dad. I'm a grandpa.
Myself with it, but it's just always a funny thing. Like there it is.
There it is. You look for it sometimes, and yep, I have been. I can't even tell you how many times I've been attacked. I've been at prisons, in negative homes where we're cleaning up, all over the place. Yeah.
You ever have to clean up after other paranormal groups?
Yes.
So this is an honest question. How do you deal with that delicately so that you don't get into a paranormal pissing contest with the other group when they find out that you're cleaning up their mess?
We don't really associate with the other group. I mean,
I'm going to cut this light on. Sorry about that.
It's one group around here, and they run around and they try to antagonize. They all try to be the guy on TV that we all can't say his name, but we all know who he is.
Fantastic hair. Know exactly who you're talking about.
Exactly. And they want to be like him. And we end up coming in later. But by the same token, we have talked to places that are doing ghost tours saying, well, we can come in and clean up your negative energy. And they never get back to us because they don't want to lose that cash flow.
Right.
And we can't condone the slave labor of holding spirits that want to go in place just so somebody here can make a buck.
Right. And I've always wondered about that myself because being a medium and doing seances, like if you open yourself up to spirit and spirit wants to talk, people from the other side will come over regularly to have honest communication as long as you set up the right time and, do it consistently.
Sure.
I've always wondered why in the world some places are so inclined to keep certain spirits prisoner when it will be easy enough to set up something legitimate and good and positive.
Yes. Yeah. In a lot of the places, and the one that I'm thinking of in particular, and I believe Amy's been to the one I'm thinking of in particular, they are holding good spirits there along with negative spirits that are not good to the good spirits.
Yes, been in places like that, yes.
They won't let us in.
Hey, guys, I got a couple of comments that Anthony from Odessa said, hey, what's up, Scott? How you doing?
Hello.
And he's asking you guys, how far are you guys willing to go to get evidence, and what line will y'all not cross?
We work for the client and the positive entities that exist in the place we're going to. If, like I said in the beginning, if they can peacefully coexist, that is amazing. We love that. If they couldn't do it in life, they can't do it in death. Kind of my theory.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how far are we willing to go? We have ethics. We're not the guy who
not everyone does.
Yeah, we're not the guy who shall not be named. But we do. If something's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. So if I have intentionally called out negative entities so that Amy can get a little closer and get a grip on them.
Mm-hmm.
And the end game is we got to clean it up for our clients, especially if they're going to be that nasty.
Yes.
But a positive entity, I have all the respect in the world for, just like I would for the client.
Okay, cool.
I think it depends if somebody needs help or not. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, is to help those people, because the relief on people's face when you actually do help them is amazing to see. They just glow when something actually happens that they've they know that they're not crazy themselves, and that they can actually see that something's happened and it's been fixed. And I think that the ability to see that is amazing.
Yeah, just the ability to let them know that they're not insane. So much of it is photography.
Yeah, we had a house like that for 2.5 years in Hayden, Idaho. That it was a newer house. It was built in 2002, but the people that were before these people, before them, must have been into some sort of satanic worship. You pull back the carpet, there's pages of satanic worship. There's pentagrams all over the place, and we have to go in and clean that up. And that took us 2.5 years to do. We had to put. I'm just saying, I couldn't crawl in there. I think didn't Robert go in the crawl space? Robert, God bless him, he does all the dirty work.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is the greatest.
Yes.
And he put one of our
Tabby's willing to throw herself under the bed.
Tabby did a FaceTime under a bed once. That was fun to watch too. Tabby is Jacob's wife, who is Ray's second son, and they've been with the team just as long as Ray and I have. But yeah, he is putting things in crawl spaces that I can't get into physically, and then I will do my prayer and scripture reading back in there to push them out, and then Amy and spirit guide get a hold of them, and we can get them passed. And we have had to infuse white light in so many places just to push them out, just to get them to where Amy can find them and we can get them, then we can get them out.
Yes. Do you ever have clients that lie to you? I'll give you a for instance. So I'm an occultist, practice ceremonial magic. I'm a practicing witch, and I'll drop this with my resume whenever I'm meeting clients. And we have a lot of clients that are people that have summoned something in the past, or someone in their home in the past has summoned something. And even though they know I am also occultist and also, or got a resume with it, will still lie about their own practices, even after the spirits will out them on spirit box and things like that.
Yeah.
Clients lie like that as well. And how do you dance around that issue?
That one, I hate being lied to. Like I said, I'm a dad. I hate to be lied to. But we did have one of those, and I'm not going to say where it was, but these people were drawing them in. They were practicing with Ouija boards. They were summoning a lot of things through candlelight. And then it got too dangerous for them. So they denied everything, called us in, wanted us to clean it up. Well, after we got in there, we're like, this just doesn't add up. There's way too much here. And we flat out told them, I'm not going to keep coming back here because you guys can't stop and have a problem. And they said, oh, no. We didn't do any of that. We didn't do any of that. And I know they did.
Right.
So we just had to say, we're going to have to agree to disagree on this and part ways. Because I can't put I have a responsibility to, Ray and I have a responsibility to the other 7 people in the group. And we're not going to go into some place that is consistently going to put us in danger as well. Because we can get in danger every time we go out. That's just part of
every moment you get an attachment, it's from a place where they've been evoking spirits and they're looking for a friend to attach to. Yes.
And Amy will vouch for us. We've never had anything come home with any of us.
Good.
In 7 years. That is the last thing we do is just flat out tell them, you can't do that.
Right.
You got to or go somewhere else, but you can't come with us.
At what age do you find that most common in?
The people who want to make things up?
Yeah.
This particular one that I'm thinking of, they were probably upper 40s, low 50s. I mean, they weren't young, but they weren't old. You would think of it as like a 20-year-old kind of thing. I do remember watching a TAPS episode once, and they went into a home, and God bless them, they put it on TV just to show these people up. They had microphones and speakers and cameras in the ceilings above the lift tiles. They were doing everything they could to try to fake stuff. They were as professional as could be and just said, well, I don't think you have any ghosts because, We found speakers, we found wires, and these two guys that had called him in are just smirking their brains out like we tried pulling a fast one on you, and it didn't work.
No, it didn't work.
Show that was
Episode.
sad in many ways.
Yeah. No, to my knowledge, we've only had that one house, and Amy's been there. I don't remember if Frank was with us yet or not then. The one with the orb storm in the basement.
Okay. Hey, what does, hey, me personally, I know different states have different, things that, they investigate and all that, every
Sure.
state. What is actually so a little bit, special about Washington that, that makes it stand out?
We've had a Native American population in this area that was pushed around quite hard. And we had a colonel who was very popular and thought of as a hero in his day that thought the only good one was a dead one.
Yes.
We're having to clean a lot of that up because the Native American community, the first job Amy actually did with us was on a Native American job where an old Catholic church had been turned into, from a university, a building for the local Native Americans going to school there to just use as a resource. And between the Catholic background and the Native American background, there was a lot of angst and hard feelings. One lady, we were called in, the final straw that brought us in was, I guess they were doing a spaghetti feed, and a pot of spaghetti was thrown from the top of a refrigerator across the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
Have you had any Bigfoot cases or anything like that? I have a friend.
No, we try to stay out of the UFO Bigfoot community. We stay in our lane.
Now, hey, with the Chinese community, when they be also in what you just talked about, because I know it was, back during the gold rush.
I have one horrible story about the Oriental community up here, and it was horrible. The people of North Idaho know the tale of when the railroad met up high in the mountains.
Yeah.
Silver mines. And the last day they got it all done. The camp was breaking. They paid off the white guys and sent them out and hung all the Orientals.
Right.
Oh, wow. That's horrible.
And it is horrible. And it's created a very ugly valley up in North Idaho, just north of Kellogg, Idaho. I've never been there. I don't know exactly where it is. I'd have to have a local show it to me. And as of yet, I can't find one that has offered to take me up there to find out where it is.
If you ever do, I would love to go with you. That would be very, very interesting.
I would suggest going to
get the chance.
Local university historical department. The historians would be the ones that would know it.
Yeah.
My background's in political science and English lit, so it's like, yeah, whenever there's hate crimes like that, there's documentation of it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I live in Texas, so like there's so much here it's either Native American history bad or slavery history bad, and it's just bad and bad. So it's you can't escape history.
We've got a couple areas in Spokane that were heavily influenced by the railroads of the late 1800s, early 1900s. Very, very hardworking man's men, you'd want to say, but very aggressive. And clean up a few of those. Up in Hill, got a few.
The one thing about history is let's not try to repeat it. That's the most important thing.
I think we can all agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, comments. I don't know if you guys are able to see the comments.
No,
we can't.
Is it Anthony Davey? Shout out to Frank and Amy. What's up, guys? How you doing? Anthony has a question. Have you ever had a hard time getting to a location? Sometimes wanting to stop you from going. You guys are mediums and you guys sense things, and somebody's telling you not to come there. From the great blue yonder. Or do you guys go anyway?
Go ahead, Amy.
Never came up that. Just the Great Dane try to
Oh yeah, that was
keep
cool.
me from going into a garage. The owner's dog was standing in my way, and it's a Great Dane, a huge dog, kept getting in my way, did not want me going into this garage. That was pretty crazy.
That was the shed that we heard the voice
Yeah.
from outside.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, we're standing in the back of a shed, and it's on our YouTube. The one where I think Amy's put her hand on my shoulder because I'm just getting queasy and nauseous the whole time, and things are messing with me, and we're trying to kick this thing out, and we hear it out back, a woman's voice, and I say, Frank, would you go check that? He goes out and checks, says there's nobody there. But we distinctly, after we turned the volume up on our thing, we heard a woman say very clearly, hell no, as we were trying to evict the spirit. And we went ahead, we got rid of it. And then we went outside and we got rid of the one outside too.
How hard is it for you guys to get rid of something that's attached to the property?
Well, Amy's the one that usually sees it. Usually Amy, Connie, and I, sometimes Robert and Jacob will jump in too because they've got some abilities that they need to work with.
Because
well.
The reason why I'm asking you that, because we all know that's Native American land up there, and you guys ever had problems dealing with Native Americans that don't want to go, and they don't mind you people living on their property as long as you respect it.
And that's what we try to say too. Yeah, is that we aren't related to the people that abused you. We aren't condoning anything that they did. We're just trying to live out our lives like you were trying to live out yours. The one time that Native American one that we did for the university, we actually stepped aside and they called in the medicine man from the Spokane Nation to go in, and I guess it took him 5 hours to clean up the inside of that place. They haven't had a problem since. We kind of found out what they did. They called him in. He did it. He wouldn't let us film it or even watch it because I would have loved to have watched that. That would have been so cool. But no, he cleaned it up. That's what us doing. We aren't going to step on their toes. That's their business.
But you know what, guys? I'm glad you mentioned that because to me, it seemed like that's becoming a trend now. People will invite you in to clean up things, but they don't want you to film it. And it's been going on for some time now because I was recently invited to the actual Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. And believe it or not, these guys were so strict about me coming in because I'll probably be the first one ever to ever step in that house that didn't allegedly whatever happened. No cameras, no audio. They actually patted me down to make sure. Most people think that this. If you guys seen the movie and seen how big that house was, there's no way that house could have got moved like that. What it was news that it was saying that to get all the publicity away from it, it said it was up and moved, which is the house is still there, and nobody lives in it, but the owners actually live next door. And and I'm like, wow, dude, you guys are really serious about this. Now, for you guys, I mean, because the first question that I had to ask myself and ask them is, did this event really take place? Did it really happen? And guys, believe it or not, I've actually seen photos
Mhm.
all the original members of that family back in the 60s and the 70s when they were actually allegedly doing this.
Yeah.
And and to this day, when I talk to them, they didn't deny it, and they didn't, they like, well, I'm not saying nothing,
Right.
but as time goes on, and and how the internet, and the world is becoming, it's really getting harder and harder to actually go into certain places, and you want to investigate it, but the families are saying no, you
I
can't
can.
have. What do you guys think about that?
I'd like to fill that one for a brief bit. I entirely understand that. Like with my paranormal group, we'll use cameras and things when we need to, but we give all the evidence over to the families to show that we're not those paranormal groups trying to make a name for ourselves or get Discovery Plus famous. So there's that. And I can see them, especially in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house, of not wanting to attract the wrong kind of investigators. And I know in most places, the thing that usually gets rid of most, how shall I say, um, unethical groups is when you say you can't put this up on YouTube. I'm sorry. Then they go away on their own. Versus the ones that truly are curious, they will still come in. And I think it's probably like a good safeguard against that.
Oh yeah.
And I would wonder if you asked to give over the evidence over to them, if they might have a different answer, because that kind of shows us a different stage of ethics as
Right.
far as what people are doing. Because I'm very suspicious of. I know several paranormal groups that would love to travel with my groups, but I'm curious about if I could trust them in a residential home.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because they would be the ones that would start filming something and it would not be appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And same thing with cleaning things off. I can knock most spirits out very easily because I'm an occultist, but I also don't allow people to film that so it doesn't turn into either a mass fakery in which people are trying to use that to make a name for themselves, or God forbid they notice what I do that is real and then start getting some of my verbiage out and start using it themselves so they can sound like they know more than they know. It's one of the reasons why occultists, occult means hidden. We tend to keep a lot of things secret. So if I drop a few buzzwords here and there around another practitioner, we can feel each other out to see if we're legit or not, if we don't just psychically read each other. So there's that.
I've basically told our production people, don't ever show a whole series straight through from beginning to end of how we pass people over, because I don't want the copycats going out there and getting into trouble themselves.
Right.
I feel we have a responsibility. We know how to do this. We have done it successfully. It's not for everybody. You've got to know what you're doing, or it's going to backfire on you hard. And I would just throw that warning out to anybody that thinks that they can do this without working their way up through it. Don't try it. Don't try this at home.
Yeah, there's no bright line between a safe house that's got some spooky fun, because most are in it for spooky fun, versus something that is incredibly serious.
Yes, totally agree, Scott.
Totally. We're there to help the people that need it.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day,
not to make a buck.
Living people and past people. And
yes.
That's what we're to do. We've never taken a penny for anything we've ever done, and we never will. That's not ethical.
That's our ethics too.
Right. Hey, comment, guys. Liz, have any of you guys had a positive interaction with the spirit? And if so, what was it?
Oh, we've had a lot. Remember little Annie, the little girl up on the Manitou house, or Andy out in the shed at the glass house. We have had so many good interactions with so many good people. There was a guy who was just sitting in the upstairs of a place in Hilliard, and all he wanted to do was drink and occasionally pat a woman as she walked by.
Mm-hmm.
And he was such a character. We looked him up and we found out the day he died. And when it came around again, I told him I'd take a shot of Jameson with him. And sure enough, did that. And give a shout out to Willie and Walter. I hope you boys are still doing great up there, because they were just the most fun loving, just a couple of happy guys wanting to just live out their days in the upstairs of this shop in Hilliard. We all had a great time with them, and we've had some really good positive experiences with a lot of entities.
Okay,
You
cool.
know, there's a lot of good experiences that you can have out there.
Yeah.
One case in which we had a house that was incredibly haunted, but the real thing was there was a lady that was about to pass on. She just went blind about a month ago from diabetes. Smart as a tack, so incredibly with it. But she was also a believer, but not really that big of a believer. So her personality synced with the spirit that was actually in the house, and he understood her. So as she was getting closer to death, he would act up more to kind of prove that there was life after death.
Good for him. Thank you, sir. Whoever he
And
was.
then bring over some people that she knew, and she would, start seeing spirits of friends come by. But there was an obvious good reason for why everything was stepping up, but it wasn't harmful at all. It was just providing proof of life after death for her.
Yeah. I've had a couple of my grandfather and my great grandmother, both of them saw people in their rooms within a month before passing.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't afraid at all. They were happy. These were nice people. They'd never met them before. I don't know if they were their spirit guides or just people that were in the area. I have no idea. But they were just happy people that came by when it was getting close for them. And they just made their final month a little easier. And God bless them.
Hey guys, I did a podcast today with a team out of Oregon. Now, for every good side of the paranormal, of course, there's negative. Now, This specific team is, I really don't know what they're doing or what he's trying to achieve, but it really got under my skin when I found this out. He was actually voting. He was actually taking people to a cemetery and allowing them to investigate and just sit back and watching and seeing how they investigate. And it was like a game show to them. Apparently, he's been picked up by a TV show, a production company. I'm not sure, but and he's actually going out, like I say, to a cemetery. He's letting these people investigate, to join his team. And if they don't join his, and if they don't meet a specific way of him doing it, they'll vote him off. He'll get voted, they'll vote him off and all that stuff. And I really think that is a very bad way. I mean, it really gets under my skin because that's not the way we are as paranormal investigators.
Absolutely not.
What I'm saying?
I think that's the thing. It's not how we are, but it is how some other folks are. And that's one of the reasons why I always try to answer cases as soon as possible, because I know there are a lot of people in the area in which I'm at. They're trying to become Discovery Plus famous.
Yeah. My daughter just asked me the other day, what TV show is the closest to what you do? And I couldn't think of a single one.
None of them, because they're not on TV.
You know what? I to be honest with you guys, Scott, me and you had this conversation a couple times. I really blame Hollywood for some of the good, some of the bad on what's going on in the paranormal world. Hey, it was good when, Tats were doing their thing, the first 4 good episodes that they were doing. Now, I think once they got into the money situation and the politicking of it, I think it just went totally left after that. That's why I quit watching them. Now, Ghost Adventures is a totally different. Those guys are totally different. I don't even watch them at all. For some of the things that they do, they say, and believe it or not, guys, some of these up and coming paranormal investigators look after these people and say, "Hey, I want to be just like them." You know, when I go out and and I investigate, I want to do the same thing that he does. You know, and they have to realize that everything that these guys aren't doing is not right.
Well, that is like also it's whenever I'm training some newbies with like the groups I'm with, and that's one thing you have to try to weed out of them is like you cannot use these shows as professional training for how to do ghost investigations like we are. You'd be better off reading like the books that the Warrens put out because that's closer to what we're doing, and it's not going to end up on cameras, and it's not going to be like ghost adventures. They're after a ghost adventure.
As one of the two people who is in charge of the other 7 people in the group on any given investigation, I cannot imagine saying, I'm going to send you down into the deepest, darkest dungeon of this place and then tell another person once he gets in there, lock the door.
Right.
That is unimaginable.
Well, even then, just as a side note, because I watch some of the shows, I have to admit, but they'll go into some places and it's like, I'm sorry, but baby, that place is not safe for you to step on. I'm a man of a certain size, and I will not reveal that size.
I'm right
as big as you're thinking, but it's not as small either. And there's just certain places. It's like no matter how psychic my ass may be, I am not going to chance it. Floor will collapse, that ceiling will collapse, and then ambulance. And that's just a reality those shows do not show. Is a lot of the places that they're going, it's the ghosts are not the thing they should be afraid of. It's the location itself.
Yeah, and that's something else too. I know we were in a basement one time and we were looking at this before you were with us, Amy and Frank, and the other investigator I was there looked at me and she said, "We're not really going to stay in this basement for very long, are we?" And yeah, I'm sure there was something down there, but it was just not safe to breathe. It was so bad.
And that happens. I've had cases in which it would go hide up in the attic, and it's like my bad knee just will not crawl up there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Right. All right. Hey, comment, guys. Anthony Davey. Have you guys ever been on an investigation and felt like you were in danger, either by spirit or by people? Anybody?
Oh, I've definitely had my.
The only thing I've ever felt is a heaviness.
I've had things turn on the gas.
I don't think I've ever felt it
while I was lighting up candles, but I've also been in places in which the people outside were a lot more terrifying. I've got to share this case because it was so weird. We still don't understand it. So my partner Ricky and I were called out to a location, and they had all sorts of stuff that was supposed to go on. Okay, that's fine. We're so caught up in like investigating the clients and getting their stories down that we're not noticing a few things. And at some part when we've listened to the stories, we've done the walkthrough, we're starting to notice some stuff, but not a lot. And then the clients disappear.
Whoa.
Pick up some stuff. And they're like, we'll come back later. And it's like, it's not supposed to happen this way. You're supposed to stay with us. And at some part we realize, wow, for a house where people live in, there's no furniture here.
Uh-oh.
Wow, there's no clothes here. But there is a lot of, get ready for it, dirt that they had spread out, like actual dirt, like potting soil dirt that they had spread out throughout the house in various places, and the dude was like sweeping it up somehow, some reason. And it's like, where are we? There was a spirit in the closet who I think just wanted to get out of the closet. But outside of that, we had no idea what if the people that were at the house really lived at that house, why they didn't have stuff in that house. They at least had toilet paper. We checked that out. We always check out the bathrooms. But no bedding, no chairs, a lot of bed frames, though. A lot of bed frames.
Oh, wow.
It was the strangest thing ever. And at some part, I'm doing my little ritual magic stuff, and my partner Ricky goes, "We're leaving," and I'm like, "Yeah, we're leaving." And we called the client on the way out just to, touch base with them. They didn't really want to stick around and see stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. I'm not sure what this is about. My partner thought they're going to kill us. And I'm thinking, no, they're going to claim that we robbed them. I don't know. But we have no idea what happened. Never going back there again.
Right.
People far more terrifying than the spirits. Spirits I can handle.
Oh, 10 times out of 10, I'd rather
I agree. I agree.
entity than a
Say that all the
wacko
time,
light
yeah.
living person. Yeah.
When you wind up in a house, you're like, why is this place covered in soil?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
People ask
Only
me
had
all the
one.
time, "You scared? Don't you get scared of that stuff?" And I said, no, I am more scared of the living.
Yes.
And spiders.
And
It's the living
spiders.
you need to be scared of.
Snakes.
Yeah.
And
Amy's
spiders. And spiders.
Yeah.
And baby cubs. Right.
No, just the mama. Just the mama.
Hey,
Oh, God, that happened.
Amy's a mama bear.
One case from years back in Oklahoma, and they had bats up in their walls.
oh wow.
Lady felt like she was being watched,
Ooh.
like she was being watched, and she was. When we went dark and we started flashing the flashlights around, those little eyes would start reflecting back, and they're like, shit, there are bats up there. And they're just hanging up there in the little vents, staring down at us.
No, I got to tell you, one of the
Bat
creepiest
things.
I ever was in Canada, and it's an old ghost town up there called Sandon, British Columbia. Beautiful place. You should really go up there sometime if you ever get the chance. But there were two houses up on a hill, and one of them was just, you could tell there'd been mice and rats in the place. The droppings were all over the place. The house right next door was so negative, there was no droppings. The rodents wouldn't.
The rat said no.
And that might have been the most negative place I've ever been. And the group I was with, because I was working with a Canadian TV group up there at the time, we were in that house. There were 7 of us. The producer's daughter got scratched and had to go out. She had to be sent out. She got scratched on the upper thigh. And when they passed over the spirit of the daughter in the building that had been being abused for 30 years by the spirit of the father, as soon as that little girl had passed through the portal to go to the other side, the entire house shook like it had been hit with a Mack truck, and we caught it on all 7 cameras.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting. All right, questions, guys. I got comments.
Sure.
Hey, is there a place where you won't go?
I won't go to hell.
I got probably already in it here, but that's personal opinion. If someone needs help and they're willing to work with us, I will not go to a place where they won't help themselves. If I give them things to do and they say, oh no, I'm too scared, I can't do that, I need you to come in and do it for me, then no, because it's going to come right back as soon as we leave.
Right.
So no, I can't work with that kind of place. But you mean like so scary that we wouldn't go in, or so negative or evil?
Right.
Or messy. That's an option too.
Yeah, very much so.
As far as the spirit activity, no, there's no spirit I wouldn't go in and clean up. I mean, one of my favorite places to go, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, is that Patagonia island in Italy.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I love to go there and try to clean some of that up from the old leper colony, because I think, honestly,
Yeah, that'd be
it could
awesome.
help. But, I don't exactly have plane fare for 9 to Italy at the moment in my pocket. So,
Well, hey, we can always go to the Island of the Dead in New York and
We were
clean that.
expecting it.
I've never heard of the one in New York. I've heard of the one in Mexico, and that one, no, they got snakes. I don't do snakes. So,
All right, hey, another question, guys, from Anthony. I mean, have you guys ever felt like a spirit want to hurt you, but sometimes they're unusually chill? I'm not for sure on what he meant by that.
I've had spirits hurt me. I believe most members of our team especially Connie, Amy, and I have been messed with internally, like nauseous or migraines. Yeah, we've been messed with. Most of mine is external. They like to hit me. I guess I have a face that's hittable or something, but most of them just like to hit me. Amy will get headaches, nausea.
Yeah.
I
They like to come right up on me, like on my back, like to breathe in my ear. I don't like that.
You know what kills me is
She had
that
to want an anaconda.
you know what kills me is when they blow in your ear. They get that,
I have never had that actually.
and I'm like, whoa, what the hell, dude? I've actually had that at work happen to me, and I know damn well I don't have any, nobody's next to me, and I don't have that listening, and I just feel that breathe of air just get right there in my ear and like breathe. I'm like, what the hell, man? What is going on around here? Damn, if you want to work, we're gonna fucking clock you in so you can work. Shit. Yeah. Okay. Anthony, would you guys now? This is I don't know because this house is upstate New York. Scott, you probably would know more about this house than anybody. Is the Exorcist house real
Oh, yes.
or is it urban legend?
Oh, there have been several groups that have hit that place. Yes.
The Exorcist house?
Yes.
I thought that was in St. Louis.
No, it's in upstate New York, I think. I don't think it's in St. Louis.
Isn't there an original one? And
I thought the original one that the book and the movie were based on was just like a St. Louis. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
up
it's in
in
New
the
York.
location.
I
know
heard that too.
And I know where they shot the movie. There's a lot of haunted stuff over in Georgetown where they shot the movie. Because
Well,
I've had some students that graduated from Georgetown in their diplomacy program.
One of the other things I'll say is that if you're doing something on the negative like that, you're going to attract some things that are attracted to that kind of thing. You're going to bring it in yourself just by putting it out there. And you may want to, if you're going to make a horror movie, you may want to have your own spiritual person there to help.
Right. If you want a good horror movie, just Scott, we've talked about this. Go ahead and get you a good Ouija board, open up a portal, let it stay open, and see what comes out. That right there would be a horror movie within itself.
We've had stuff like that before. I don't know if you know about the Christopher Marlowe's play Faustus. It actually is a haunted play. It's one of the more famous haunted plays, kind of like Macbeth and some of the other ones out there. But with Marlowe's play, he's actually got copies of like the Gosha, one of the dark magic books for summoning demons, copied into the book itself. So whenever you're playing the part of Herr Faustus, the magician, you actually are doing some of the chants and the things that you need to do to actually summon a demon. May or may not be Mephistopheles, but things happen.
Yeah. No, thank you. I get enough of that, so no.
Right? I don't know. Trust me.
The one other thing I'd like to say that I truly believe, we approach things from a Christian standpoint. That does not mean it's the only way to get rid of spirits. Every religion has a way to get rid of negative entities, and from what I've seen, they all have basis and merit. It's not just one way is right and the others are all.
It's about your connection to the divine, if you've actually got one.
Right.
I would agree.
We actually had that conversation about last week on churches and the Catholic Church, especially the Catholic Church. Very interesting because believe it or not, if you have something going on in your house and you want to call in a Catholic priest to come in and see what's going on, man, you know how long that would take?
Yep.
It depends on what you're asking for, and that's the thing. Like if you're doing a personal exorcism, that takes a lot of paperwork. But if you're just doing a house benediction, which is kind of a minor exorcism, then that is actually fairly easy to do. And in fact, any lay person can do that as well. And they have books of deliverance prayers that your priest can hand out to you if possible. We've used some of those with some of our clients that were Catholic, and reintroduced them to the idea that they can take control as well, but also they need to start going to church more often. Little things.
Yeah. I've given our prayer and scripture reading with instruction of how I do it to people, and it usually does help. For some reason, we usually still have to come in and give it a little extra push at the end, but I think it has to do somewhat with, we've seen it, we believe it, we know what we do is right, we've seen the results, we know we get results. It's the confidence level, and ours is a lot higher than the average person in the public.
Confidence, you got more of a connection. I've had some clients in which they claim to be, let's say, Christian, but their closest thing to Christianity was opening up some Easter eggs and opening Christmas presents. You're like, you're going to have to do a little bit more work than that. You can't just say the prayer over food and then, say that's going to give you the power to drive out demons. And that's usually a thing, because I've, not to beat a dead horse, but I feel like I should say this. Whenever I'm working with clients like that, I'll tell them I spend 3 hours a day doing my practice as an occultist. You should also perhaps spend more than 15 minutes trying to connect with Jesus, if Jesus is your way.
Mm-hmm.
And that usually floors them, that someone will spend that much time. It's like, yes, I'm serious about this. That's why I get results.
Okay, question, another comment, guys. Have you guys ever done an outdoor investigation? For an instance, Farragut State Park, is that up in Washington?
Farragut State Park. I've done Farragut State Park. I did it all by myself. I was bored on a Tuesday. I went out there in the daylight. I went to the brig, and I can tell you right now, yes, there is the soul of a German military POW who was tortured to death out there. He had a tapping on a window conversation with me that I caught, and he threw a rock at me when I was on the other side of the building and missed. Thank goodness. Thank you for missing me. I appreciate that. But he was a German POW toward the end of the war, and that place was used as a POW camp for about the final year of the war. And he made the cardinal sin of giving just a little bit of information up. So they kept interrogating to get more and more and more, and he died. And I can tell you exactly which cell he must have died in, because it's the one room that I get a lot of activity in when I go to the outside of the building.
Interesting. Hey, Anthony also had a question. Do you guys think like objects like the Annabelle doll or Robert, do you think they're as haunted as they say they are, or is it just Hollywood glorifying them?
Those two cases, I would say yes, they are.
Yes, definitely. Yes, and yes again.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, Anthony.
It's not hard to make a talismanic object or to evoke a spirit into an object. That is not a hard thing to do.
No, high energy will put something into something if you want it too bad enough.
Okay. Now, I've run across a lot of people who has a lot of haunted objects. I mean, from rocks to dolls to, I even seen one that was a shoe of a horse. Because, I don't know, maybe the horse liked the shoe or something. I don't know. I can't explain that one. But is it good for these people to actually keep these objects?
Probably depends on the.
I mean, because me personally, I would never, ever, ever own a cursed object.
It depends upon the person and if they know what to do with it. Like I said, I'm a practicing occultist. It's been 40 years with witchcraft. It's been since 1991 with ceremonial magic. I know how to handle these things. I've got some friends in the Austin area that are part of paranormal groups, and they collect like haunted dolls and things. And they film them moving and other things like that. And that's just their own little happiness. But they're also not bringing in something incredibly dangerous.
No.
That's the difference.
As far as rocks go, I know that that's a lot of the problem with Gettysburg, is it's built on a lot of limestone, and limestone will act as a magnet to bring in hard energy, really intense positive or negative energy. Quartz and limestone will just suck it in like a magnetic tape.
And especially with the history of that place and the amount of death there, it's a
Yes.
powerful conductor and a powerful place.
Yeah. Gettysburg is my bucket list, but I live on the wrong coast. So I'll get there.
Yeah, you'll get there.
There's a lot of limestone here in Washington.
There's a lot of limestone. There's a lot of quartz.
There's the biggest limestone deposit in Italy Falls.
So going back to the haunted objects things, it's like depending upon who has them, I think that's the real question, what nature of the haunted object is. Some things should be disposed of, but even then, you would have to know how to dispose of it properly. Otherwise, you're going to make it worse.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I've seen people drive with haunted objects in their car. You know, me personally, I don't think that's wise that you would do something like that. I've seen people put haunted objects with other haunted objects, and I don't know how two possibly negative spirits would react towards one another.
Right. If you don't know how to contain them so they're not going to interact, that's going to cause a pissing contest.
Yeah, I would agree.
And to me, I think that's dangerous on both ends. You know, driving and having two and two sitting by each other, you know, and getting all that negativity just building up in your house. And when you walk in your house and you walk in the house, you can actually feel it.
See, that's the thing. If you don't know how to contain it, it is dangerous. Ricky and I had a case that we had a haunted guitar, but I actually made a large talismanic blanket that was basically a binding of Saturn to kind of like put the thing in so we could travel with it. Because the idea being that, you know, this was not something that we wanted to just go driving across Texas with because we knew we'd get hit or something. Right. And we had visitations before we had the thing. It actually made one of my microwaves short out. And we had all sorts of very, how shall we say, pithy songs that all had to do with the case pop up on Ricky's, you know, car playlist radio all by itself on the way down there. But man, there was no way in hell that we were going to drag it back in without some precautions. And we made, like I said, talismanic object to wrap it in to neutralize the power and bind it. And then I actually rented out a storage locker so we'd keep it there, not at my place or Ricky's place.
Oh, wow.
Because it was a serious thing. It actually potentially could have caused the death of like one of the client's family. So it was, I cannot imagine someone just grabbing that and throwing it in their car and going, let's go drive home. Like that would just be incredibly stupid.
Ooh-wee. I can imagine that one. Ooh,
personally, I would just stay away from haunted objects. There's no real reason to. I've lived 60 years without that thing. Why would I start picking it up now?
Yeah, and if you don't know what to do with it, it needs to be in someone else's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That would be totally no. Hey, have you guys ever investigated a whole community where every house on the block is haunted? Something's going on, and we know it's not the houses, so it's got to be the property that it's on.
Kind of Mineral Wells, Texas. Yeah.
We actually, this place we're going back to, it's because of the land. It's not the house. It's there's so many horrible things that happened in the early 1900s in this one section of Spokane. And all of the bad people, when they were done doing their bad things, went up into these hills. Well, now they're expanding and building homes there. And the things are literally crawling out of the woods to come find people that they can try to associate with and get through. And we've got to go back and try to clean this place up again, because some of the people in that family do have abilities that they have not honed or learned how to. We're trying to teach them how to safeguard themselves. The same way Amy and I are in Conniewood when we go into a place, and it takes practice. But yeah, this one that we're going to in a couple of weeks to go back to clean up, it's because of the land. It's not the house.
Oh, okay. Hey, if I wanted to join your team, how long would my probation period be before you turn me loose?
Well, how good are you at being bait? That's, number one question. Honestly, we don't, we haven't taken on a new person, I think, since Frank. I kind of get a feel for a person, and if they want to come in, then give them a shot and see how they do. And it's basically Ray and I that would decide. And right now we got 9 people, so we've got a pretty large group to begin with, unless we're doing a giant penitentiary or a hotel or an entire ghost town. It's hard to find 9 people in a single dwelling home that can really work together.
Mark, I'm disappointed in you that you would not allow me to join your team.
First,
You
you
should
have
send
to
resumes first. That's how we do this. You have to send resumes first.
That's okay. But you're not going around because, once again, I'm a podcaster and I've been on my tour of the country and I've heard all sorts of crazy things that founders are doing to members. They're making them sign contracts that you can't, if you quit this team, you can't go join another team. Man, I've heard it all, and it's mind puzzling
if people on my team want to join another team, then I'm a lousy leader, and they should. So that's my theory.
And I'm like, man, what the hell are these guys doing, man? I mean,
and is that even legally binding? I mean, my goodness, that's.
I imagine in a right to work or right to in a free country, I can't imagine that legally binding.
Well, you never know these days,
it's whatever judge you go in front of, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to sign a paper saying that we wouldn't cross anybody over at one of the places we went to. And I looked at her and she said, we've had people try to do it. And no, they're not allowed. You don't even think about trying to cross spirits over here. And like, well, your place, but I don't know how you would get that through a judge.
I'm not really sure how you'd be able to prove the spirit just didn't leave on its own, too. It's like, how can you say I'm the one that did that?
Yes, I think that would be tough to do. But again, I don't really care for people who use them as slave labor either for their paranormal hotspots.
Right? How does
it's just those trying to get Discovery Plus famous, because that's getting those weird lawsuit things and where they do weird, almost like frat party hazing kind of stuff to see how scared they can be or other weird things.
Yeah, these guys are playing with fire and they don't even know it. They're selling their soul to get rating, literally, and I just don't get it.
I don't. They're gonna do what. One thing I know about people, they're gonna do what they do.
The TV industry is gonna do whatever makes a buck.
Yeah, they're gonna do what. You know what, guys?
For one TV show on a Discovery Plus channel, they interviewed me. They totally butchered the interview, chopped it up to what they wanted it to say, and by the end of it, it wasn't anything resembling what it was or what I had to say or my view.
Yeah, that's the way it is these days, man. That's the way it is. Myself, I always find out if you want to see or talk to real, legitimate paranormal investigators, the best place to actually go and look is probably YouTube. Because there's so many amateur, good paranormal investigators out there. There are, doing the same thing that we're doing, and they're not looking for all that, hype, and all that money stuff. They're just out there investigating.
We go on
As you thought, there's
Facebook.
a lot of books put up by parapsychology groups back when that was something that was funded at the university level. There's a lot of diaries of old ghost hunters from Harry Price on down. There's a lot of reference materials out there in printed form that would help people a lot better than again what's on Discovery Plus or whatever's got like 5 kids and their one piece of paranormal equipment trying to get a scare out of each other. But again, it gets back to what are you trying to accomplish here?
Yeah.
Help people, it's going to look entirely different.
We put stuff on Facebook and YouTube because we want to get it out there to people that if you've got a real problem, we can help you.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to charge you for it. We're not going to profit off of your misfortune and demise, and we just want to help. This is what we do. If problem, drop us an email, Spokane Paranormal Society 15@gmail.com. 2 of us will come to do a preliminary investigation, and then we will see if you actually need our help or not.
Well, I actually went to sleep. I'm gonna tell you this story, Mark. I actually went to sleep one night, and I don't know what I was doing, but I pretending. I guess I woke up, but I was really asleep. I actually saw this 6-foot cockroach drinking my milk and smoking on my cigarettes. Can you come help me on that, or do I need to go see a shrink?
Well, first of all, it's probably because you live in Texas. Because I have heard everything is bigger in Texas, so I'm not doubting you.
They have some big roaches in Texas. Don't get me wrong. I've seen those things. I can tell you stories that would scare you for real.
Yeah. And unless you've got some story that is going to split my side laughing about while I read about it, we will at least give you the time of day and a reply letter to say something. We're not going to just leave you in the dark. If you really need some help, we will try.
Well, actually, the reason why I brought that up is because that really happened to me. I really had a gentleman that actually had a situation like that. He called me up one day. I was at work, and he's like, "Hey, man, I heard you're a paranormal investigator. Can you please come help me?" And I'm like, "Well, tell me what's going on briefly. If you can give it to me in a text, that'd be great." Then he was like, "Well, I'm having this problem. Would you please come and check it out?" Me not knowing if it's paranormal or it was a mental thing. So, either way, I packed up all the equipment and went and looked. And we got to the apartment, and we saw evidence of something of what he was saying. So the lady that's a part of my team, she sat down and evaluated him and figured out what was going on. She said, "Ma'am, while I'm asleep, I'm having problems with somebody coming in, smoking my cigarettes, and drinking all my milk because my milk is being left out on the counter while I am sleeping. My cigarettes are not here." And we said, "Okay, here's what we can do." First thing we thought it's a mental thing. So we put up a camera and we're gonna let this camera run all night. This camera's gonna run all night and it's gonna take video and audio of everything that you do in your house. So the night passed by and the next day we came over and we picked up the audio. The camera, and we reviewed it in front of him so he can be aware of what's going on. And actually, guys, it wasn't the cockroaches that were smoking his cigarettes and drinking up all his milk. He was sleepwalking and doing it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that came to my mind is, Okay, if you're smoking cigarettes while you sleep, that's a big no-no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can start a fire. Now the milk we don't care about, but the cigarettes, that's a big issue. Now what you need to do is go to a doctor. Tell them you have some kind of sleep paralysis, and that you walk in your sleep, and you walk like and you're walking in your sleep like you. It's like every day. I mean, it seems like you're just walking and you're awake, but you're not. And he was able to get help and with that. So, but when we checked on him for the third time, dude, the dude opened the door and gave me the biggest hug ever, and saying thank you for helping me. And that's right in that instance, I'm like, dude, we did something great for this guy because he really could have hurted himself.
Yes.
And let you know that paranormal investigators, it don't have to be paranormal for for us to help an individual out that's reaching for help and that wants help. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? And that right there was really an emotional thing for us because we felt like we actually help somebody out in the community.
Yeah. No, yeah. There, we do look for non-paranormal uh, reasons. Normally, by the time we get there with a full team, we've decided, no, there's something here and we really need to figure out what it is. And that's what our preliminary investigation is for. Usually, I've been talking to the customer or the client, not really a customer, for 4 to 6 weeks before the team ever shows up on the doorstep, because we are doing preliminary stuff. We are trying to weed out things. We are trying to work with it. It's not okay, we're going to come to your house and in a half an hour you're going to be able to go to sleep in a nice clean house. It doesn't work that way.
No.
You got to figure out what it is first. And that's where we have Amy go in to kind of pinpoint the hot spots. That doesn't mean we don't check out the other spots, but 9 times out of 10, Amy's nailed it and we've hit the hot spots from where she said. And we've gotten to the point where we have Connie walk with us too in the medium walkthrough, because Connie has found stuff that Amy and I haven't, and she's been proven to be right. So we are very blessed to have so many tools in our toolbox. And Ray and I swear up and down we got the best team in paranormal.
Okay.
Well, the fact you've been together for so long does seem to hint at that. That's a wonderful thing.
Right.
Everything.
We don't get together often, but when we do, we have a good time and we get results.
Because it is so hard to find a good team, somebody that's on the same, level as you guys. It's really hard because I can tell you now, I've been through 3 or 4, individuals that I had to let go because of the paranormal drama.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I don't think any team should have to go through.
No. And you don't need that one that won't play as a team, that goes off by themselves and does against the rest of the group.
That would be me. So.
And I've always said
I'm the one that I don't know. If something draws me to a certain area, I mean, I'm not a psychic, I'm not a medium, but if I feel a certain urge to head in a certain direction by myself, I'll just end up walking.
Arm stick up, Terry. Don't tell me you haven't. You've been in a spot where you didn't feel quite right. You that's all part being an empath too. You got to fine tune it is all.
Well, that's a story for another day.
No, if there's a bad spot and only one person goes, it's going to be me. The only time I let in on that was we were at the old Montana State Penitentiary, and I said I was going to go to solitary confinement, grabbed a camera, and Connie said, I'm going with you. And if you'd ever met Connie, you'd let her go with you.
Connie, have you guys been into? Have you guys been in Northern California with some of
No.
those well-known hot
I've been
spots down there?
to Canada, but I've never done California.
Never been to Cali? You've been
No.
to about Oregon?
I've done a few things in Oregon, mostly around the Portland area.
Okay.
I've done Fort Vancouver. We did the Grant House, where Ulysses S. Grant would stay when he would go there.
Yes.
Had a nice flashlight conversation when my daughter was sitting next to me, and that was special to me because my youngest daughter was with me. And the second I asked her a question, the flashlight came on, and I could tell this was a friendly spirit, a nice guy. And my daughter absolutely lost it. She was going to college there in Portland at the time. She was probably 21, and I could not stop laughing because that was her epiphany moment of, okay, what my dad does is real. And it was just so much fun to see the look on her face when that flashlight went on. And then I said, okay, can you turn it back off? And it went back off. And she was like, what the hell? What the hell, Dad?
Scott, what is going on with you over there, man? This is the first time I have not seen your pendulum. Because the last podcast we were on, the Penny Paranormal podcast,
Yes.
that little booger was twirling and twirling and twirling. And
I was doing some casework while we were on the podcast. I had some people that had some stuff going down, so I was psychically reading a location with my pendulum.
Oh, wow.
While knocking out some other things and doing some texts. I was multitasking. So, you do what you got to do sometimes.
I feel you on that. That's hey, are you having hey, when are you coming down? Are you coming down Friday or Saturday?
Saturday, Ricky's got she's got a hotel over in Manola. I'm probably going to stay at the same place.
Is this the hotel where they're charging $350?
No. God, no.
Because, man, I
saw that and it's like, with teacher pay, no.
Yeah.
No.
I got a hotel in Tyler. I'll be there because we looked up for that hotel. But there's a hotel right next to the OP Powerhouse. The guy wanted $350, $650 for the weekend, $350 for the night.
It's like, nope, can't do that one.
Yeah, I didn't think anybody would go.
I have a question for Scott.
Yes.
Have you ever been to the Sally House?
Oh, I have not. But
it's Kansas.
He
just read my mind.
Because that's one of the places I feel drawn to, like really profoundly drawn to. There's some places I feel the Spirit's calling me out to.
Last year.
And that place is one that, for the past 5 years, I've been called out to that place.
You know, that house has been vacant for many years. And what's so crazy about it, the owner will only let a select few overnighters go investigate that place. And the history, I don't know if you guys know the history of that place, but the way, who is that? Somewhere on Discovery, they did it totally wrong on that. If you guys want to know the history of it, of course, the man was actually a doctor. Well,
right.
I think the dentist. Okay, he fell in love with the maid. Now, the maid was I'm not for sure if she was from Louisiana or somewhere, but she was of African descent. She was black. And they had a child named Sally. Now, the way somebody, I don't know who it was, did it totally wrong on that whole story. And it made me mad. I'm like, man, these guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. I just want to go up there and just smack them. And once the baby got sick, that's when I think he got the flu or something, pneumonia. And then the baby passed away. Then the mother passed away, I think from the same illness. I'm not sure. And then the husband well, not the husband, the boyfriend, or whatever you want to call him, the baby daddy. We call him the baby daddy. The baby daddy ended up passing along as well. But it's stated that Sally and the mother are still in the house. The mother is the most strongest and the most aggressive spirit there. It's not Sally. Sally is the one that is a child.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think she even know how to be aggressive or how to be angry. You know, but when you go there, it seems like you have because when you go up to the door and you go and you just sit around that place, and it feels like it's it's a child is around you. You know what I'm saying? It just has that feel. But once you go inside and go upstairs, totally different in that one particular room back to the left. You know what I'm saying? Because when I went there, I mean, I just had that sense it was just a child that was pretty much had the whole house to herself. But that one particular room, that's where the mother was.
Right.
And she did not let anybody into that room. So, but whoever made that story up about something else, it was so totally wrong, man. And I wish they would put up a billboard in front of that house explaining on what happened there. You know, because people are coming in there, they know it's Sally, but they don't know who the other individual is. You know, and it's
Yeah,
so damn.
they have like stuff sitting out, and that story, that's not the story in the house. Like they have like saying that a doctor, that this mom brought her child in, she was like 5 or 6, appendicitis, and the medicine that to like numb her didn't take effect, and so he did the surgery when she was numb. And so the story is that Sally died from in pain, and he is goes after men because the last vision she had was of a man cutting her open, hurting her. So they say that she goes after guys, and
Well,
that's why
yeah,
she went after that dad.
Right.
there are so many different stories about that little house. You know, which the only way we're really gonna figure out if we go back in history and actually, see it for ourselves. But
Yeah.
you just heard two different stories from two different people.
Right.
uh, You know,
Hmm.
and it I don't know. I think somebody needs to, actually tell the story on what really happened. That's where people will actually know on what really happened in that house. You know, because
Hmm.
from what I was told, it was his daughter that passed away because he had an affair with the maid, which was black, and she ended up getting the pneumonia or the flu or whatever, and she ended up dying. And the mom ended up getting the same thing, and she ended up dying, and so on and so on. So I
So
mean,
where they all
it's
died.
totally
I
two
don't
different
remember.
stories. But somebody up there in Atchison, Kansas, really know. Maybe the historian might know on what really happened.
That's the thing. They need to have some historians go and dig through the records because there's always just a lot of data up there as far as like journals, purchases, all sorts of daily stuff. Just like if you're going through someone's trash, it says so much, but someone's got to do it with an actual scientific mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, and that's why Connie and her daughter on our team, Brenna, there are historians. I give
Yeah.
them they go to the library, they look up the history, go to reverse directories, find out who's lived there, find out the history of the land. Was there ever a Native American influence on that piece of land? We found out so much about people's houses that they're surprised about their own house.
Exactly. And from what I heard about Atchison, Kansas, the whole town is actually creeped out. I mean, the whole town is supposedly being haunted anyway. You know, so it's not just that
Yeah.
that little town. I mean, that little house sitting on the corner. It's probably the whole little town that something's going on there. You know, so
Yeah,
it's
they actually sell a bunch of the citizens like story testimonials. Yeah, they sell a book.
Because the Chamber of Commerce owns that house now. The Atchison Chamber of
Oh, wow.
Commerce.
yeah,
So they may have glorified the story a little bit to make some money.
Yeah, that's
because
nickname.
Atchison isn't very big. Atchison is a pretty town, and there's not a lot of people that go there. So I
yeah,
think the draw for it is what they're focusing on is whatever they can get out of it.
yep.
Because
I
they have
agree.
the what's her name? What was her name? The Amelia Earhart. Her
Oh, yeah, that's
birthplace
there.
is in there. It's just like it's away from the Sally
Yeah.
house.
And then there's that
Yep.
house that's across the street from that that's haunted as well.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Anthony
So town
Davis.
with lots of stories.
Hey guys, he wants to know about skinwalkers. He needs an opinion on.
You know, that I wish Ray was here. Ray knows more about skinwalkers than I do. I have a story from a lady when we did that Native American group at the college, and she had actually had an experience with skinwalker when she was a little girl. But because she was Native American, it was a positive experience. It was one that was watching and kept them out of a car accident.
Okay.
All the strange stories my grandmother used to tell. We're Chickasaw, so
Mhm.
yeah, you can hear some strange stories. But again, depending upon like what you're dealing with, some things are decent, some things are not. Some things are decent to natives, some things are not decent to some
Right.
other people.
Mhm.
Have you guys ever? I know Scott. I know you've probably heard of him before, but Mark, Amy, and Frank. Have you guys heard of the Black-Eyed Children?
Oh yeah.
That's another thing. I've done a lot more extensive stuff on than I have, but I know enough to get me in trouble if I open my mouth about it because I don't know enough. But I have read up a few years back on the Black-Eyed Children, and it's a whole different kind of scary.
Well,
Yeah.
that just depends upon what lane you're in again, because it's like if it's something that's a demon story, because sometimes they go along with demon stories. Okay, that's more of the lane that we're both in. But if
Mhm.
it's the ones, the black-eyed kids, and these are the alien stories, and they're supposed to be, like grays or something like that. Okay, not a lot of experience with those.
Yeah. I don't know how familiar you are. My favorite story is the Gray Man on the coast of the Carolinas before hurricane. And it has always come true. If you see the Gray Man, the rest of the block may be leveled to the ground, but your house is spared.
Yeah.
Okay. I do know West Texas. Those darn children. They're menacing out there, man. They're doing all kind of strange things. They're knocking on doors, knocking on truck drivers' doors. Trying to get into trucks, certain truck stops. Certain houses and certain areas. They're becoming a real menace. I'm
Those
really,
are black-eyed children that are hitchhikers and will come to doors and asking for help. Those things.
yeah,
Those are scary little beasties.
yeah. They're little boogers, man.
Like I said, I'm not sure what they are because I've seen them with alien stories and I've seen them with demon stories. And if it's something demon related, that I can deal with a little bit easier.
See, and we don't get a lot of those stories up here. I don't know if it's a southern thing or what, but we don't get a lot of that up here.
Well, hell, it's too damn cold for them to go up there. They're not going to go up there.
Well, I
It's too damn hot for them to get on here. They just want to get inside with the air conditioning.
Right? Hey, West Texas is no joke, man, when it comes to that heat. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, they trying to get in where they can fit in and catch some of that air conditioning. All right. Now we got a Justin Green. Okay, going back to the OG conspiracy. The hero's hut tells the guys to figure it out. I don't understand what you're talking about, Justin. That's a new one. Okay, well,
I've fleshed that one out a bit. I don't know what that one is either.
yeah. Are you able to look at the comments, Scott?
No,
Or
I
any?
am. Let me see if I go and play
I
around with
think he's
settings.
trying to. I think he's trying to say if we just knowing how we figure what's going
There
on
we go.
out. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Hmm. Interesting.
It's probably yeah. I think it's like what Mark was saying that once we come to a house, we're there to help, however long it takes. We're just not going to leave them, in the dust. We're not going to forget about them. We will always check up on them. And if they need more help, we will do what we can to figure things out and help as much as we can.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think. Hey, if there's a paranormal investigator out there that does that, they shouldn't be paranormal investigators.
You know, though, Terry, there's a lot of paranormal investigators that just want to get that holy grail, so they post it, and they don't really care where they get it, how they get it, or what they kick up to get it.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a bad rep. We got a bad rep already for what we do. When you're dealing with, you know, uh, religion, because religion, man, there are a lot of people who are totally against us in religion. Southern Baptists, Christians, Catholics, Methodists, all of them disagree with everything that we do. My grandparents, grandparents who are
Mm-hmm.
still alive today or great grandparents, they would tell you, boy, don't mess with that stuff. Leave that alone. Because when we were growing up, we were told to not even talk about it.
Yeah, don't acknowledge.
Yeah.
Go this, that. Hey, because when I asked my grandmother, hey, how does that street light cuts on by itself? She said, boy, they don't even worry about that. It ain't got nothing to do with you. And I just left it alone. You know what I'm saying? But this day and age, but you never know, man. We got so much people that are against us. So every little positive that we can get, we need to take it. You
Yeah.
know,
Which is another, we don't charge money, because as soon as you charge money to somebody, they're automatically going to say you're just a scammer.
yeah,
You're a salesman.
Yeah, and we're upfront about that as well. We say that's one of the reasons why we try to set ourselves apart from some of the other groups that are scammy. That will charge like $300 a visit, and it's like no.
No.
That's a conversation I think we should all have as paranormal investigators. Or what are some of the things that we do to help set ourselves apart ethically from those that really shouldn't be investigators? Because that's
You don't charge. You don't investigate and run. You don't leave anybody high and dry. You always follow up afterwards and see how things are going. And there's an unwritten rule of morals
right.
that you've got to have,
And
or you're just the guy who shall not be named.
and the most important thing is you got to have some sense of respect on
Yeah.
who or what you're dealing with. There's no way in hell that you're gonna have. You got to have respect because if not, it's not gonna respect you.
No.
You know, just
I
because
to get
means that
nasty, they're nasty at me.
and
If
know when you're out of your element, you need to call in someone bigger to handle it. That's a big one too for a lot of groups.
and
and
they're by the grace of God go I. So if I can help them, then that's what we're here for.
Scott is. Hey, I got a phone call for something. I like, man, hey, out of my league. I called Scott up. Scott, hopefully he handled it. I'm pretty sure he did.
Yep, took
And
care of that one and did follow ups, and the client's perfectly fine.
You know, and what's so crazy about it, I don't even know how she got a hold of me.
The universe does that. I will say this much. I don't know about how much whatever faith you have. I'm Wiccan by my faith, but I know certain groups that shouldn't be groups, and they might have a Facebook group, a web page, a this, a that, everything else, but the universe does not bring them any residential cases, and that's for a reason. And
One of the last,
we don't have anything outside of cards, and from time to time I pop up on podcasts, and people find us. Like the universe, God, whatever you want to say it, does help match people up from time to time.
one of the last jobs that we did, we were referred to this lady by her psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd never met the woman, but she said, try these guys, just because she followed our work and said, you know, if you've really got something there, these guys will find it and they'll help you. And we did.
Yeah. Anthony wants to know, do you guys only do residential?
No, we've done Old Montana State Penitentiary. We've done mansions here in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. We've done, I've gone myself to Farragut State Park. I've been driving back from visiting my daughter in Iowa. We stopped at the mayor of Deadwood, South Dakota's house, and I got a great picture of his daughter looking out the window, who died in the 1920s. But
wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool picture. But no, that was just my wife and I on vacation. Oh my goodness, we've done antique stores. That was interesting because the
Hotels.
hotels, yeah, all sorts of. We did a place that used to be the city market in downtown Spokane, and that's one where Amy is downstairs and she goes, I keep moving my arms like this and brushing my hands on my down my front. Why am I doing that? And she was standing in the old bakery at the time. And Connie and I both know, and we're filming her, and we're just looking at each other smirking because we know why she's doing it. And she's just, what's going on here? It's fun to watch.
I was making bread.
Yeah, she's the only one that doesn't know what she's doing, and everybody else does. I've had her describe people while Connie and I are looking at the picture of the guy describing. What, Frank?
Hey, do you guys
about the one where she up and she was in the morgue?
Oh my gosh, that one was great. She had no idea that the place we were at was a funeral home. And she walks into this room, she goes, why am I looking up?
Oh, no.
It was the family viewing room, and she was the body. She was looking through the corpse up at the ceiling in the family viewing room, and she didn't know, why am I looking up? So that one was funny.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm. So we do have fun.
Yeah. Do you guys work with other groups, or you guys pretty much stick to yourselves?
We have a couple of times, but when push comes to shove, if it's a serious situation, we're going to just trust our group. I'm not bringing in other people to try to clean up somebody's house because I know how we know how we work. Everybody knows what their niche is. Everybody does it to perfection. As soon as we heard that noise in the shed, say hell no. I think Frank knew I was going to ask him to go look. I think 2 steps out the door before I even said it.
Frank, he threw you to the wolf, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, we were busy holding the portal shut at the time, so.
Yeah, they were pretty occupied.
Yeah.
Oh man. Hey, don't feel like
we're definitely a cohesive group. We're a good family.
That's the thing. You've got to be that.
There was one time where.
Yeah.
There was one time where Mark was standing in I don't remember where it was at, but an orb came out and it kind of swirled around and went in his pocket and lit up his phone.
That was the glass.
We caught that on camera.
Yeah. And at that time, we were right in the middle of catching something nasty and throwing it out too. But yeah, you can see the phone in my pocket. Yeah. My hands are here, and you can see my phone light up in my pocket. I didn't get any messages that night. Nobody called me.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Right
you
as
can
an
see the
orb.
orb go right in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wee.
Yeah, that's the one that's on YouTube. If you want to look it up, it's a 2-part documentary. Just put in the search engine "Glass House Spokane," and that's us. In fact,
Very
Amy
check it out.
on the cover of the picture of it.
Okay, cool. Definitely have to check that one out. All right, guys, it's been almost 2 hours. We've been talking for 2 hours.
Oh yeah, ghost hunters can do that.
Time goes by when you're having fun.
Absolutely.
This is a part of the
Yeah.
podcast where either the guest will have to would like to ask me or Scott any questions. Here's your opportunity.
Go weird, go crazy.
Go ahead, Amy. Frank, you go first.
What are we doing?
A what?
We get to ask.
I thought we were.
I thought we were asking
I think they
people.
froze for a minute there.
Oh. I'm like, oh no, I didn't prepare anything.
You're in the headlights. I've seen that look on you before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So we're asking questions.
Have either of you guys ever
We're
done a
just
UFO?
asking them.
What do you think about shadow people?
Oh, those things are fascinating. I read it was a Catholic demonologist handbook that described those as spirits of the damned that are under the ownership of like demons. So they wouldn't necessarily, if you're a Catholic priest, believe that it's a demon itself, but it's someone that lived a very dire and horrible life that died with the sins on them. That was being used by that. We had one case in which a lady was summoning a lot of stuff and she had shadow people all over the bloody place and thought it was normal. Just like, I don't have anything bad here, just a few shadow people. I'm like, oh, that's not normal.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
a cultist. I have stuff coming in my place too. It's not shadow people. This isn't a normal thing. Just letting you know, Karen. Thanks. And just kind of surprised that was a hint she was doing stuff more than just your bargain basement Satanism.
Yeah. I
Do you think that shadow people can?
Go ahead.
Do you think that shadow people can be brought on from misery or place where there's a lot of, I wouldn't say unhappiness,
It
but
depends upon
yeah,
how much
unhappiness.
misery you have. One of the worst places I have been to, and this is after communism fell apart. I was in university, and my background's international relations, so I was part of a study abroad program, and we went over to Kiev to see Soviet Union in transition into like the Russian Federation, and we're over in Babi-Yar, which is a giant mass Jewish grave. It's like the size of a football stadium. Well, imagine you're standing at the top of a football stadium, and it used to be level, but after all the bodies started decomposing, it started sinking down. So it's like being at the top of a football stadium looking down in a mass grave. And that place has a lot of shadow people, but they're not necessarily anything bad. They're just people that have hurt so ungodly horrible
Yeah. And
that
I can
there are.
massive human rights violation beyond human rights violation,
Yeah.
as
and
only Soviet Russia could do. But yeah, they
yeah.
had things like that. And I believe those in that case were not bad people, but they were just severely hurt.
And Scott, I can agree with you on that because when we went to the Sneed Cemetery, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually a slave cemetery just south of Austin, same thing, shadow people. That's what I actually came in contact with one, and yeah, when there's a lot of misery, there's a lot of something that went on, and we all know about slavery and how bad that was. So you can imagine that. Yeah, it was totally crazy. But the good thing about it, it stayed at distance. It seemed like it was more curious about what I was doing there more than anything. You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of hid behind. It was hiding Well, it tried to blend in with the tree, which
Yes.
it was going back and forth. And if you ever seen a shadow person, it moves at certain speeds or whatever it does. Something like that, and yeah, and it just followed me throughout the whole cemetery.
Yeah,
Uh,
those things, good ones or bad ones, it doesn't depend. But I've noticed that they're once they notice that you notice them and you're seeing them quite clearly, they get very curious, rather good or bad.
yeah, they get real cool.
Do
you
they
know,
always come out like a human form? Are they always a human form?
Some not necessarily. Some of the ones that truly are more of the, I'm not going to call them demonic, but they're over in that neck of the woods. They don't necessarily have a purely human looking form. Sometimes they might have an extra arm or a leg. Sometimes I've saw one that was kind of like the body was more arachnid in the fact that it looked like I had like four legs going on with it.
That I've run across.
Yes, and
Yes,
but the arms were very normal and the torso was normal. It was like it was trying to pass as human, but not doing a good job because it didn't really fully understand what human was. And
right?
I've seen some of them do that psychically, in which you can see them. And Amy, you'll understand this, where it's trying to pass its facial features off like a human, but it doesn't really know how to play that game right. So it's like you're dealing with someone who's a narcissist who's trying to act like they care. And there's no empathy there. Um, there's no real there as far as the human goes, but they're desperately trying to fake it so they can kind of fool you.
Yeah, and some of them also like
Yes,
how dark it is.
I've seen a dark.
It's dark, but but it's also darker than the dark. So you're actually able to actually focus
Yeah,
on
you can
That's
differentiate
yeah,
it
yeah,
from the other
yeah,
darkness around there.
yeah.
between a shadow person and the darkness that's past it. And the way I was able to figure it out is because it was actually in the back there was actually a Mexican restaurant that was lit
Hmm.
up, so I was actually to see the difference between something that was moving as quick as it was, and it's following me because I also made sure that it stayed within that certain light. And like I say, I mean, I've never heard of a shadow person actual harming anyone. Now I could be wrong, Scott.
I have. Yeah. I've seen them like do some very nasty things. Like nasty things you talk about being hurt inside and being made sick, but like actually affecting people's internal organs
Oh
and
wow.
getting them hospitalized.
Now see that might be something else. You know.
Depending upon what you're dealing with, like if it's there is, I don't want to say this out loud and kind of move into it, but there is an entire group of magic, and he deals. There's a dude that deals specifically with summoning up shadow people and shadow things, and it is left hand path demonic kind of stuff. And the dude's books, you can buy them on Amazon. I'm not going to name any names because it's real and it actually does work. And because those things are kind of nasty and let's say more material based, they will gladly give you what you want to have as long as it screws over someone else. So whatever it is that you want to do, they will kind of, but they also kind of corrupt the person that summons them over time.
The thing you remember about negative entities is they want to feed.
Yeah, some of them truly are feeders. Look, we've had those and they were feeders. Uh, like parasites, but some are a lot. Like I said, I hate dropping the demon word because there's so much out there, but they're definitely over in that neighborhood. So if you want to use that term because you're a Christian, that's the word you use. You're not far off from the ballpark. So yeah.
Well, and to me, a demon is something that has never been in human form. In human form, it would just be a negative entity. A demon is more like the anti-angel. It's the negative form of something that has never walked Earth like us.
or some of them that truly are, they're very baleful. Like if you have to, again, this is coming from an occultist. We learn how to banish anything and out there, whatever, long before you ever learn how to summon anything. Even stuff that you're not practicing, you're not ever going to summon, you learn how to banish it just because that's good practice, right? But I've had like some cases in which one of the ways I can tell that if a demon is actually there is I actually get acid reflux every single time and start to feel like I'm going to vomit. But that's if it's a very specific level of demon. But some of them that really are truly powerful by their very nature is corrosive enough to whatever's around there. Kind of like the satanic group, the Order of the Nine Angles, whenever it existed, it was a very powerful group, but the energies they dealt with were so incredibly caustic that the group itself, like the entities they summoned, could not stay together for long. The entities, when summoned, could never actually take human form or any form because it was just the very nature of what they were summoning was destructive, and it ate itself, if you will, and would do the same thing to the group and the magicians that were summoning them. Very powerful, very, very powerful, but also just being in the presence, very, very toxic.
Right.
In the same way, if you're around something that truly is angelic, it will have a healing force on you, even if it's not intending to, because it is good by nature and healing by nature. These other things very much just, even if you knew what you're doing, it would corrode you. But that may be too much occult talk for a night. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
Honestly, I believe the D word gets way too often. I honestly believe in the 7 years I've been doing this, I might have run across 5 total in 7 years. It's not as common as certain shows would have you believe. Not every.
It's also not hard to get them to summon or to bring them up. That's the thing too. Whenever I'm dealing with, like, again, I'm not a Christian myself, so I think Christians use the D word a lot because they grew up in a spiritual ecology in which all they had were angels, demons, and then grandma. And it's not grandma and it's not an angel. So therefore, anything that's harmful is a demon. It's like, okay, if that's the word you use, if it's causing harm to you, it may not be a capital D demon, or one of the named demons from a grammar of magic, but it's certainly bad. So we'll go with that word.
One of the things that we have had to do is we run into spirits every once in a while that stay here because they've committed suicide, and organized religion has told them,
right,
you're not going to heaven if you commit suicide, so they just don't go. And we have to talk them off the ledge and let them know that organized religion wasn't necessarily right. And they do.
You have that one also. This is a strange one, but the town I grew up in, Ada, Oklahoma, and Criswell Cemetery, there's a lot of spirits that are sticking around their graves there because they belong to a denomination of church that said that they're supposed to stay in the ground until Jesus comes back. That's how they understood Revelation. So if you're a psychic or a medium in that cemetery, you'll see a lot of dead people just up roaming around because they are waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. And organized religion really hasn't done favors to a lot of things.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, guys, it is 2 hours we've been talking, and some of us got to work in the morning.
And some of us don't, Terry.
Well,
I got to watch the Seahawks tomorrow. That's all I got.
Me too.
Yeah, Amy will be right there. Amy and Frank both.
Hey, guys, tell the world how to get a hold of you guys.
You can email us at Spokane Paranormal Society 15@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook page and send us a message. And I personally am the one that answers all the correspondence. I take everything seriously. You will at least hear back from me, usually right away. Sometimes, like I said, I'm a dad and a grandpa and I'm a happily married man, and I'd like to stay that way. So sometimes with my family. But I will get back to you. We will take you seriously, and we will listen and try to fix problems that you've got. And thank you, Terry, for having us on so that we can maybe get our name out there and get some people some help if they need it.
Hey, no problem, man. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Scott, tell the world how to get a hold of you.
Hi, I'm Scott Perry, and you can just Do a search for me on like Facebook, and you'll find Scott Perry. You'll see a little icon that's got my face, and it says vegan, and that is me. With Texas Paranormal Recon. You can also find us on Pentex. That's another group I'm with, Paranormal Investigations of North Texas, but we're probably going to be changing our name soon. And if you need anything, message me or just find me on Pentex, and we will help you as well. We don't charge. We will listen to anyone and everyone and get you the help that you need. And as far as it's a residential case and you need help, we'll go as far as you need us to go. And like I said, I'm an occultist. I can get rid of a lot of stuff. If you've got something that you don't like, I can take care of it. Also a medium of the rest. So if you want to talk to it, by all means, we'll chat. We'll have a good time.
Yeah.
And we leave no one out in the cold. We'll take care of you.
Good.
Right.
The only other thing I would add is a timely manner in the north this time of year may mean you got to wait till the spring thaw for some places around here. I'm not driving certain places with 2 feet of snow on the ground and ice.
Oh, that is so true, except for the exact opposite. I think in Texas, like when the summer heat gets really bad, no one does anything. And now we're about to hit the busy time because it's cool and people want to go outside now.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Dude, ACL Fest is going on in Austin right now. And I mean, we normally would have maybe 600,000 people in the city. It's doubled that. And our roads cannot handle that type of, capacity. And man, it's wall to wall traffic. Not only counting all the stuff that's going on for Oktoberfest,
Mm-hmm.
the fall festivals that are going on around here, dude. It's a total. The whole area is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I advise you guys. If you guys come down here just to stay in the hotel and just wait it out because it is crazy. The trains are overflowing with people. Hey, don't even try to get an Uber or a taxi because the hour it's going to be at least 12 hours before you even get one. You know what I'm saying? So, with enough said, guys, hey, my name is Terry with NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast. Mark, it's been a pleasure. And like Mark says, he will call you back. And when I called him, hey, he picked up ASAP. And right then, I knew he was a good guy because we had a good conversation.
Even though you root for the wrong football team, we're okay, dude.
Oh, Lord. It's wonderful meeting all of you. It's great, like chatting.
Hey,
it was nice meeting you, Scott. You're a good man.
Nice meeting you, Amy and Frank. I don't know where Frank went, but hey, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys.
He's right there.
He's back.
Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah.
Now, hey guys, to let you guys know that NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast After Midnight, we also have a podcast for the grown folks. If you want to talk about the lowdown, the good for nothing, the bad side about paranormal investigating, this Friday nights after midnight would be your night to do so.
Okay.
Everybody has some, hey, we try to keep it positive, but there's always negative involved. When there's a positive, there's a negative. It never fails. It's been like that for thousands of years. So if you guys have something that you want to get off your chest or, just want to talk in general about the negative of the paranormal, hey, this is your time to do so.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? I just started this podcast about 2 weeks ago. Mr. Mark, if you got anything you want to get off your chest, just let me know. You have my number.
I got your
number. Scott, call me up.
Oh, absolutely. There's stuff that needs to be said.
Call me up. Hey, the conversation is going to be interesting next week when we get to the
It will be fantastic. There's so much that needs to be done together.
I can't wait for you and Heidi to meet each other. That's going to be epic.
I want to see what spirits come through me because I'm like a trance medium, so I plan to like black out at some part and just have whoever knows come chatting through me for a while.
And what's so good about it, Scott, I actually had the gazebo where there's 2,600 people are buried in a mass grave where that gazebo is. I'm actually doing a
Wow.
live podcast that night.
Fantastic.
So, hey, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. You know, if we pick up something, we do. And if we don't, we don't. But the house, I can almost guarantee you there's something going on in that house.
I,
And
I
I
can
can't.
kind of amp some stuff up if you need me to. I can connect to a place and let it flow through me.
Well, hey, that gazebo definitely. I mean, we're definitely gonna get you over there. We're gonna see what's going on.
By all means, grab me, take me out that way. We'll set stuff up and just get a good chair and
Oh
make
yeah,
it happen.
definitely. All right, guys. Hey, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks, Terry.
You guys have a good night. It's hell.
Thanks,
It's
Terry.
it's
You
only
too.
10 o'clock over there.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
just
You'll-
enough time to know I was gonna hit the bar or something. I gotta go to bed. You know what I'm saying?
Wonderful to see you all. Great chatting. This was great fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
guys. You guys have a good night. Hey, this
Have a
is
good night.
NFP signing
You
off.
too.
Peace. Hey, hey, Scott. I'll talk to you
Yep.
in a couple days. Mark, give me a call. We'll chat.
Yeah.
Peace, guys. Oh.